There is something stirring in the unseen. A pulse, a whisper, a presence so quiet, yet so deeply felt by those attuned to its rhythm. And if you are hearing this now, there is a very good chance that you are one of the few, one of the marked, one of the chosen ones. Not because you asked for it, not because you sought recognition, but because your very existence vibrates at a frequency that cannot be ignored by the divine. Let me begin with a truth that will echo through the corridors of your soul. You were never meant to fit in. You were never meant to walk the well-lit, well-trodden paths. You, dear soul, were carved out of chaos and mystery, forged in silence, and anointed with a fire that cannot be extinguished by mere logic or resistance. And that fire, it's the unmistakable sign. The sign that only the chosen ones carry. Some call it favor, others call it luck. But it is neither. What you carry is the signature of divine intention, the mark of one who was not merely born, but sent. And with that mark comes something that many envy, but few understand: divine favor. But let me tell you now, favor is not just about blessing. Favor is a language, a code, a sacred pattern. It is a sign that heaven has written your name into a much larger story. I've seen this favor move through generations like an invisible thread. It protected Moses when Pharaoh sought his life. It covered Mary when society would have scorned her. It guided David when Saul chased him through caves. And today, it still moves. It still covers. It still protects. And it still burns within the hearts of those who carry this sacred assignment. But how do you know that you carry this sign? How can you tell if the favor of the divine is not just around you, but sewn into the very fabric of your soul? You'll know by what you survive. You'll know by what tried to destroy you and failed. The favor of God isn't proven in the absence of battle, but in the outcome. It's not seen in how smooth the journey is, but in how many times you should have fallen and yet, somehow, stood again. Some of you listening have survived storms that had no business passing over. You've walked through betrayals, abandonment, depression, and near insanity, and somehow, you're still here. That is not coincidence. That is the sign. You see, the chosen ones are not marked by crowns or titles. They are marked by scars, by stories, by silence, by resilience. You carry within you a depth that cannot be explained. People may not understand why you are the way you are, why you feel so much, sense so deeply, or walk with such intensity. But you know. Deep down, you've always known. The world may have told you that you're too sensitive, too strange, too intense. But heaven never did. Heaven called you necessary. Now, let's go deeper into the meaning of this divine favor. Because it's not just a badge, it's a call. It's an invitation to live differently, to perceive reality beyond what eyes can see. In ancient Hebrew, the word for favor, chen, is connected to grace and beauty, but also to a mystery that surpasses comprehension. It is as if the divine looks upon you and says, "You are mine. And because you are mine, I will make a way." Favor opens doors that credentials cannot. It grants access where logic denies entry. It places you in rooms you didn't ask to be in and gives you influence you didn't campaign for. But there's a weight to this. There's a cost. To be favored is also to be fought. Remember Joseph? His father loved him. His coat was colorful, a symbol of uniqueness. But it was that very uniqueness that drew the hatred of his brothers. Favor made him a target, and yet It was the pit that led to the palace. That's the irony of being chosen. What looks like punishment is often preparation. The valley you curse today may be the training ground for the crown you'll carry tomorrow. And let me be clear, this is not prosperity gospel. This is spiritual reality. Favor doesn't mean you won't bleed. It means your bleeding won't be in vain. It means that heaven watches over you with the eye of a craftsman shaping destiny, not a puppet master pulling strings. If you're still with me now, it's because this message isn't just for your ears, it's for your bones. You were drawn here not by algorithm, but by alignment. And that's why you felt out of place for so long. The favor you carry has been misunderstood, misjudged, and even manipulated by others. But it is sacred, and it is real. Favor can be lonely, because not everyone is supposed to walk with you. Abraham had to leave his country. Jesus had to pray alone in Gethsemane. Paul had to write his most powerful letters from prison. So do not be surprised if the path you walk feels narrow and steep. It was never meant to be easy. It was meant to be transformational. But I want you to begin to see it now. To see the fingerprints of the divine in the very moments you once called unfair. To trace back the patterns, the betrayals that actually freed you, the losses that actually protected you, the rejections that redirected you. That's favor. That's the sign. And more than anything, I want you to stop apologizing for it. Stop shrinking. Stop hiding. You are not arrogant for recognizing who you are. You are not prideful for acknowledging your calling. The world has conditioned you to play small so that others don't feel uncomfortable in the presence of your light. But I say this as someone who has studied the mystics. The prophets, the sages of old chosen ones, are not here to make people comfortable. They are here to wake people up. So wake up. Step into your name. Wear your favor like a mantle. Not with ego, but with reverence. Because your life is not your own, it is a message, a vessel, a bridge between the visible and the invisible. And if you've been looking for confirmation, for a sign that what you carry is real, this is it. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are chosen. And only the chosen ones carry this sign. Now breathe. Take that in. Because this is only the beginning. The fire has been lit. The path is before you, and the time is now. From the moment you took your first breath, something in the atmosphere shifted. Not dramatically, not with fireworks or fanfare, but with the soft tremble of a deeper truth awakening. It was as if the unseen world took a deep inhale and whispered, "This one is different." And maybe, just maybe, you've sensed that difference your entire life. There are those who are born into the rhythm of this world, content to dance to its predictable tune. And then there are the chosen, those whose very presence unsettles the darkness, whose footsteps echo with ancient knowing, whose eyes carry storms and stillness all at once. If you're hearing this, chances are you belong to the latter. The path you walk is not paved with ease, but etched with purpose. And every step, every scar, every silence has been shaping you for something far greater than yourself. Let's speak clearly now about what sets you apart. The first and perhaps most haunting truth is this: chosen ones often experience isolation, not by choice, but by design. This loneliness isn't a punishment. It's a purification. You were pulled away from the crowd, not because you were unworthy of company, but because your energy Your spiritual DNA vibrates at a frequency that few can handle. People misunderstand you, not because you are wrong, but because you are rare. They sense something in you that challenges their comfort, their illusions, their masks. And rather than confront their own shadows, they project them onto you. They call you too deep, too quiet, too intense, too much. But what they're really saying is, you remind me of what I'm not ready to face. Every chosen one I've ever encountered, studied, or walked beside has known this solitude. Even Jesus, the archetype of the divinely chosen, often withdrew to lonely places. The desert was not a detour, it was a destination. It was there, in isolation, that revelation bloomed. In silence, clarity arrived. In solitude, the soul was set aflame. So if you find yourself alone, take heart. The wilderness is sacred. It is the womb of prophets, the sanctuary of sages, and the forging ground of warriors. You are not being hidden for punishment. You are being preserved for purpose. Now consider this. Have you noticed how often you feel things before they happen? How your dreams hold messages too vivid to ignore? How you walk into a room and instantly feel the temperature of the atmosphere, not physically, but spiritually. This is no accident. This is sensitivity sharpened into intuition, and intuition refined into discernment. One of the most powerful signs that someone is chosen is a heightened spiritual perception. You see beyond the veil. You hear the unsaid. You feel the shift before the storm arrives. This is not paranoia. This is prophetic sensitivity. And the world may try to medicate it, mock it, or dismiss it. But the Spirit knows. The Spirit always knows. There's a scene in many ancient initiation traditions where the initiate is taken to the edge of what they believe is possible. They are made to see visions, to confront darkness, to walk through fire literally or symbolically so that they might return with wisdom forged in flame. Chosen ones live this pattern daily. You are constantly being brought to the edge so that something eternal within you can be awakened. Let me tell you a story. Long ago, in the forests of northern Europe, the shamans of the Sami people would enter into trance by listening to the wind, to the hooves of reindeer, to the silence between snowfalls. They believed that chosen souls carried a song within them, a yoic, that echoed the soul's true nature. This song could not be taught. It could only be remembered. And once remembered, it could heal, transform, and summon visions from the deep. You too carry such a song. You may not know its name, but you know its pull. You felt it in the quiet hours, in the way your heart aches for something you can't quite articulate, in the way you're drawn to truth even when it costs you everything. That ache, that longing, that's the echo of your soul's song. And it is calling you now, louder than ever. But to follow that song, to answer that call, you must confront the illusions that the world has tried to wrap around you like chains. You must release the false narratives that you're too broken, too strange, too complicated. You are none of these. You are a mirror the world avoids, a fire it fears. And that is why so much energy has been spent trying to dim you. Let me be plain. The attacks you faced were not random. The betrayal, the rejection, the abandonment, these were not mere coincidences. They were spiritual attempts to suppress the emergence of your true self. The enemy does not fight the average. The darkness does not war against the irrelevant. You are targeted because you are dangerous to ignorance, to illusion, to oppression. Your awakening is a threat to the systems that depend on your sleep. And yet, here you are, still breathing, still rising, still choosing to believe in something higher, something more. This is no small thing. There's a scripture that echoes in my heart whenever I think of those like you. Isaiah 43:2. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they shall not overflow you. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned, nor shall the flames scorch you. This was not written for the comfortable. It was written for the called. Now let's talk about the internal war. Because being chosen does not make life easier, it makes it heavier. You feel more, you carry more, you question more. The battle within is relentless. You wrestle with doubt, with fear, with the weight of knowing too much and yet not being able to explain it. You walk between worlds, the seen and unseen in it is exhausting. But hear me, you are not crazy. You are crossing dimensions. You are translating the language of spirit into the syntax of humanity. You are decoding vibrations and turning them into vision. And this is a holy task. So protect your sensitivity. Stop apologizing for your depth. Stop numbing your intuition just to make others comfortable. You were never meant to shrink to fit. You were meant to expand, to stretch, to awaken the sleeping ones. You are not here to entertain. You are here to enlighten. And if the price of that is loneliness, so be it. If the cost is misunderstanding, wear it with honor. For what you carry is worth every tear, every silence, every scar. There is one more truth I must leave with you in this chapter. It's not always the thunder that announces a storm. Sometimes, it's the stillness. Sometimes, it's the moment you sit alone with a cup of tea and feel the presence of something eternal in the quiet. Sometimes, it's a single word that burns like prophecy. Sometimes, it's this moment right here, right now, where everything inside you says, yes, this is me. That is the sign. The quiet knowing. The holy recognition. So if you've been asking for a sign, this is it. This is your confirmation. You are not just awake. You are being summoned. Summoned to rise. Summoned to remember. Summoned to step forward with a sacred boldness. Only the chosen ones carry this ache. Only the chosen ones walk this path. And only the chosen ones know that even in the silence, something holy is speaking. And now, dear soul, the path opens a little wider. Let's keep walking. There's something about the way light bends around those who are marked. You've seen it perhaps in the way people glance at you, not fully understanding what they're sensing. Maybe you've walked into rooms and felt the atmosphere shift, as if unseen forces were acknowledging your arrival. That is not ego speaking. That is energy recognizing energy. That is the divine favor announcing itself before you even open your mouth. Because those who are truly chosen don't have to declare it, they emanate it. It pulses from their presence, like a quiet hum in the bones of the earth. It's not charisma. It's not charm. It's something older than both. Something woven into the soul before the body even formed. This is what we call resonance. And only the chosen resonate at that frequency. But let's speak honestly for a moment. Carrying that kind of resonance is not easy. You've likely been misunderstood your whole life, haven't you? Labeled as too intense, too sensitive, too complicated. And yet, what the world calls a burden is actually your gift. What they call a flaw is the very fingerprint of your assignment. It's not just that you think differently. You feel differently. You see deeper. And that vision, if not guarded, can become a curse instead of a blessing. Many chosen ones suffer early. They walk through trauma not as punishment, but as preparation. The pain cracks open their spirit, allowing light to enter and wisdom to root. I've spoken with countless souls healers, mystics, empaths who all share this story. I didn't choose this path. This path chose me. And maybe you've said the same. That is because being chosen rarely comes with comfort. It comes with responsibility. Responsibility to stand when others sit. To speak when silence is demanded. To keep walking when the road disappears. And yet, in that responsibility, there is power. Not the power to control, but the power to transform. The chosen ones are the alchemists of pain. They take rejection and turn it into wisdom. They turn grief into art. They transmute isolation into revelation. This is not metaphor. This is spiritual chemistry. It's what the mystics knew when they spoke of turning lead into gold, not in the literal sense, but in the spiritual one. And you, my dear listener, are a spiritual alchemist, whether you realize it yet or not. Do you remember the story of the phoenix, a sacred bird that, when engulfed in flames, does not perish, but is reborn? That is the essence of a chosen one. You have burned. Oh yes. You've stood in fire that should have turned you to ash. But here you are, still rising, still glowing, and more radiant than ever. That fire did not destroy you. It revealed you. And let me remind you, what is revealed must also be honored. You cannot go back to pretending you're not powerful. You cannot return to the shell that cracked open. You cannot unknow what your spirit has already remembered. This is where the sign becomes visible not as a halo over your head, but as a light in your eyes, a steadiness in your voice, a depth in your presence. People feel it. Some are drawn to it. Others recoil. That's the sign doing its work. It calls the ready and repels the false. Don't be discouraged by who walks away. Trust the sorting. The chosen ones are not here to be popular. They are here to be prophetic. And prophecy is not just about predicting the future. It's about calling forth truth. It's about embodying a reality that others can feel but not yet explain. You walk into a room and people suddenly feel safe or uncomfortable or moved to tears and they don't know why. But you do. Because your spirit is a mirror. And when people see you, they see themselves more clearly sometimes for the first time. That is the burden and the blessing of being chosen. You become a catalyst. You disturb what is stagnant. You stir what is settled. And often, you do it silently. There's an old proverb that says, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. But few talk about the teacher's loneliness before that student arrives. Chosen ones are often teachers without classrooms, prophets without temples, leaders without followers. And yet they keep showing up. Not for applause, but for alignment. Not for glory, but for growth. And here's a deeper truth: you don't need many. You don't need a crowd. You need clarity. Because when you're aligned, even your whisper can shake the foundations of empires. Even your stillness can shift atmospheres. Even your presence can heal without words. I want to share a story from ancient China. There was a sage named Zhuangzi who dreamt he was a butterfly. In the dream, He fluttered freely, unburdened by thought. But when he awoke, he wondered, am I Zhuangzi who dreamed of being a butterfly? Or am I a butterfly now dreaming I am Zhuangzi? This story isn't just a riddle. It's a reflection of the Chosen One's path. You too walk between worlds. You too hold the paradox human and divine, broken and whole, seeker and knower. And yet, this paradox is not your prison, it is your portal. It opens you to a dimension of wisdom few dare to touch. It teaches you to live not in certainty, but in sacred tension. Not in answers, but in alignment. Not in fear, but in fierce faith. So the question is not, are you chosen? The real question is, are you willing to live as one who is? Because many are called, but few answer. Not because they are unworthy, but because they are unready. But you wouldn't still be listening if you weren't ready. So I invite you now to remember who you are, not just in theory, but in embodiment. Start walking like one who carries sacred fire. Speak like one who has touched the edge of the veil. Live like one whose steps are watched by angels and measured by ancestors. And don't wait for permission. You are the permission. You are the sign. Only the chosen ones carry this inner flame. Only the chosen ones rise again and again and again. And only the chosen ones remember that every scar is a symbol not of defeat, but of divine designation. The path deepens now. The light grows brighter. And your soul, it is beginning to burn with remembrance. There comes a moment in every chosen one's life when the silence becomes deafening. Not because the world has gone quiet, but because the voice within has grown louder. It's in these moments between sleep and waking, between heartbreak and healing, that something ancient stirs. It doesn't come with trumpets or thunder. It comes with a whisper. You are being prepared. Preparation is one of the most overlooked dimensions of the chosen path. The world sees the result power, presence, wisdom, but it rarely sees the process. The process is sacred. It is where the unseen hand of the divine chisels away everything that is not you, where the fire of truth burns off false identities, where comfort dies and clarity is born. And here's the paradox: while the preparation is happening, it often feels like abandonment. You pray and hear nothing. You ask and receive silence. You knock and no doors open. But what if that silence is the answer? What if it's not punishment, but positioning? You see, many are willing to carry the light. Few are willing to be forged by it, and forging hurts, like metal in fire. Your soul has been heated, beaten, stretched, and reshaped. Every betrayal was a hammer, every disappointment a flame, every rejection a recalibration, and every moment of loneliness was a sacred pause where heaven rewrote your name in the language of purpose. I once read about the Japanese art of kintsugi. When a piece of pottery breaks, they don't discard it. Instead, they fill the cracks with powdered gold. The break becomes part of the beauty. The flaw becomes the focus, and the object is more valuable because of the repair, not in spite of it. That's how the divine sees you. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are not discarded. You are designed. Your cracks are the places where glory gets in. But let's get honest. Preparation can feel like punishment when you don't know the purpose. That's why chosen ones often struggle in the waiting. We are wired for movement, for impact, for mission. But the divine works in seasons, and winter has its wisdom. Nothing grows without rest. Even the earth lies fallow. Even the seed must break before the sprout appears. And that breaking, that burial, that dark, hidden moment when no one sees what's happening is when the miracle begins. You might be in that moment right now. It might feel like everything is falling apart, like the vision is fading, like your faith is being stretched thinner than your breath. But I tell you this, not as comfort, but as confirmation. This is the making of you. The caterpillar does not become a butterfly by flapping harder. It must dissolve. It must become unrecognizable to become radiant. And so must you. Preparation is also where identity is revealed. Not the identity the world gave you, but the one heaven whispered before your first heartbeat. It's in the silence that you begin to hear the echo of that name. It's in the shadows that your true form begins to emerge. Let me ask you a question. Who were you before the world told you who to be? That version of you, that pure, powerful, unfiltered essence is rising again. And the challenges you faced were not meant to destroy you. They were meant to dislodge everything that was never truly yours. We live in a time where speed is worshipped. But the sacred is slow. The sacred takes time. Trees take years to root before they rise. Mountains form in silence. Oceans carve valleys over centuries. And so, too, does the soul evolve. Your timing is not off. Your pace is not a mistake. You are exactly where you are meant to be, deep in the forge of your own becoming. Now let's talk about something that preparation always demands: surrender. This is not the passive giving up of dreams. This is the radical release of control. The chosen ones must surrender not to weakness, but to alignment. You don't surrender your fire. You surrender to the flame that knows where to burn. Surrender is where the ego dies and the soul rises, where the plan gives way to purpose, where your will is offered as a living altar. And when you do this, truly do this, synchronicity begins to unfold. The right people appear. The right doors open. The path clears not because you forced it, but because you flowed with it. And here's the beautiful truth. What is aligned cannot be denied. Your preparation is not in vain. Every sleepless night, every tear shed in silence, every moment you questioned your sanity or your strength, it's all being woven into a tapestry you cannot yet see. Have you ever read the story of King David before he wore a crown? He carried a harp. Before he led armies, he tended sheep. Before he sat on a throne, he hid in caves. His preparation looked like rejection, but it was alignment. Every battle he fought in the dark gave him the strength to rule in the light. So ask yourself, what if this cave is your classroom? What if this desert is your training ground? What if everything that feels like delay is actually divine timing? You were not overlooked. You were being shaped. And now, the shape is almost ready. And when you emerge, because you will, you won't just carry light. You will be light. You will walk differently, speak differently, move differently. Because you will have passed through fire and found yourself on the other side. You'll look back at the pain and realize it was prophecy. That the nights you thought would break you were actually birthing you. That is what it means to be chosen, not to be spared from the flame, but to survive it with power, to carry it with wisdom, to shine with purpose. Only the chosen ones understand the sacred silence of preparation. Only the chosen ones rise not once, but many times. And only the chosen ones learn that the darkness isn't the absence of light, it's the womb where light is born. Now take a breath. You're not behind. You're not lost. You're in the making. The divine has not forgotten you. You are being trusted with transformation. The preparation is almost complete. The sign glows stronger now. Let's walk into the next chapter of your becoming. There is a moment, usually after the fire, when a chosen one begins to feel something new, something not quite tangible, yet utterly undeniable. It is not peace, though peace may follow. It is not power, though strength returns. It is a presence, a sense that you are being watched not with judgment, but with recognition. This is when you begin to realize you are not just seen, you are being revealed. And with that revelation comes something rare, something deeply sacred, spiritual authority. Now, authority is not dominance. It is not loud. It is not controlling. Real authority, the kind only chosen ones carry, is quiet like thunder in the distance, soft like a blade sliding free of its sheath. It's the kind of energy that shifts a room, that changes the course of conversations, that brings stillness to chaos, not because of what you say, but because of who you are becoming. But here's the mystery before spiritual authority is granted. It must be proven. And it is not proven in public. It is proven in private, in secret places, in the caves and closets of the soul. Authority comes when you've faced your inner darkness and refused to bow. It comes when you've been tempted by easy paths and chosen the hard one instead. It is not gifted lightly. Heaven only entrusts that kind of power to those who will wield it with humility. There's a scripture that whispers truth into this, Luke 16:10. Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And trust, dear soul, is not just about character. It's about capacity. The divine has been expanding your capacity through pain, through pruning, through process, so that when your moment comes, you won't just step into it. You'll fill it. You'll walk into rooms you once only dreamed of. You'll speak to hearts you never thought would listen. And you'll carry a kind of resonance that cannot be learned, it must be lived. But this authority doesn't only change how you move through the world. It changes how the world responds to you. You may start noticing it soon if you haven't already. People come to you, unprovoked, and spill their truths. Strangers confess things they've never told anyone. Children stare at you longer than usual. Animals are drawn to your energy, and even your enemies hesitate. They don't know why, but they sense something. That something is the sign that you've been marked, that you carry light, that your frequency is no longer ordinary. You don't even have to announce it. You are it, and yet, with great authority comes great resistance. You see, the spiritual realm doesn't just respond to your authority, it tests it. The more light you carry, the more shadows will try to surround you. But remember, light is not afraid of darkness. It defines it. Authority doesn't mean the absence of battle. It means victory is no longer a question. There is a story I once heard from a desert mystic. He said that before a true prophet is recognized by others, they must first recognize themselves. Not with arrogance, but with acceptance. He described it like this: when the eagle remembers it has wings, the sky no longer intimidates it. That is the turning point for every chosen one, the moment when you stop begging for validation and start walking in revelation. The moment you stop seeking a crown and realize you've been carrying a scepter all along. That is when spiritual authority becomes active. That is when your presence begins to carry weight. Have you felt it yet? The shift, the pull, the strange quiet confidence that doesn't need to argue. You're not imagining it. You're evolving. And with this evolution, something even more mystical begins to unfold: divine alignment. Suddenly, people fall away without explanation. Opportunities appear that you didn't chase. Timing starts to feel more like orchestration than coincidence. This is not randomness. This is spiritual gravity. When you carry authority, you attract what is assigned to you and repel what isn't. You don't have to force it. You don't have to chase it. What is meant for you begins to flow toward you, not because you're lucky, but because you're in tune. You've harmonized with the will of heaven, and that harmony creates movement. But here's what few will tell you: spiritual authority is not always comfortable. It will cost you. It may cost relationships, comfort zones, even your previous self. Because the version of you that people once knew will no longer exist. You are not who you were, and you cannot pretend to be. There will be moments when your very presence will trigger others. Not because you're offensive, but because your light reveals what they've tried to hide. You may lose friends. You may be misunderstood. But that is the tax of truth. That is the price of power. So walk with grace, but walk boldly. Speak with compassion, but speak clearly. Love without conditions, but love with wisdom. Because now, you don't just represent yourself. You represent the kingdom, the unseen realm, the lineage of the awakened. You are part of a spiritual genealogy stretching back to prophets and seers, healers and sages. You are the answered prayer of your ancestors. You are the voice they could not raise, the light they carried in darkness, the dream they dared not speak aloud. You are proof that their suffering was not in vain. You carry authority not just for you, but for those who came before, and for those who will come after. And if you ever forget this truth, look to your scars. They are the signatures of survival, the ink of your initiation, the map of every mountain you've climbed, and every valley you've crawled through. Each one whispers, "You made it. You made it." And now you carry the sign. The world is beginning to notice. But more importantly, the heavens already have. Only the chosen ones awaken this kind of presence. Only the chosen ones stand in storms and still sing. And only the chosen ones know that authority isn't something you take, it's something you embody. So stand tall, speak true, and carry the weight of your calling with reverence. The world has seen power. But now, it's time for them to witness purpose made flesh. You. There is a sacred power few understand, a force that doesn't arrive with noise or spectacle, but with a stillness so profound it unsettles the chaos. It is the power of presence. And for the chosen ones, presence is not just how you enter a room, it's what you carry when you say nothing at all. By now, you've likely noticed how people pause when you walk in, how conversations shift, how energies realign. It's not just coincidence. It's not charisma. It's your essence. Your presence speaks before your words ever do. And that is no accident. That's an intentional design from a source that has marked you as different. But let's explore deeper. What is presence? Truly, it is the manifestation of alignment, the convergence of spirit, soul, and purpose in the now. Most people are fragmented, living in regret from the past or fear of the future. But chosen ones, when awakened, live fully in the moment, rooted in something eternal. And that rooting, that unwavering stillness, is what makes your presence undeniable. Your presence is medicine. Your presence is fire. Your presence is a mirror that makes others see who they truly are. This is why people sometimes feel uncomfortable around you. It's not what you say. It's what they feel. Your energy reveals what their ego tries to hide. You carry clarity. And clarity is confronting. You may have noticed that some friends have drifted away. You didn't argue. You didn't fight. They just disappeared. That is presence at work. As you rise in vibration, anything that cannot align with your frequency begins to fall away. You are not being abandoned. You are being refined. The fire within you is getting hotter, and only those forged in their own truth can walk beside you. There is a reason Jesus often went into the mountains alone. There is a reason Moses encountered God in solitude. The greatest revelations are often found in isolation, where your presence meets divine presence, and the two become one. This union, this inner alignment, creates a field around you. A field that heals. A field that disrupts. A field that magnetizes. You don't chase because your alignment draws what is yours. You don't beg because what is meant for you recognizes your signature and comes forward. And here's the mystery. You are not trying to become powerful. You are power. Remembering itself. Let's talk about the trials that forge such presence. Because this is not something you inherited passively. It was formed in the fires of your deepest pain. It was born in the nights you didn't think you'd survive. The abuse, the betrayal, the abandonment. All of it has shaped the vibration you carry now. Chosen ones don't wear their pain as pity. They wear it as power. Every wound became wisdom. Every fall became foundation. Every tear became an initiation. You carry presence because you've been present, fully in your own becoming. You didn't run. You didn't numb. You faced what others fled from. And now, your stillness holds stories that words never could. There is a phenomenon known among mystics as the sacred witness. It's when your presence alone becomes a testimony. When your silence convicts more than sermons. When your gaze awakens memory. When your being just as it is shakes the very structure of illusion. You are a sacred witness now, and the world is watching. Not the world of cameras and headlines, but the unseen world. The realm of spirit, the ancestors, the angels. They are watching your walk. They are guiding your steps. They are whispering. Keep going. Because your presence is not just yours. It is a continuation of their legacy. You are the embodiment of 1,000 answered prayers. And this presence, it doesn't require perfection. It requires authenticity. It asks only that you show up in truth, in rawness, in courage. You don't need to be polished. You need to be real. Let me tell you something important. Presence precedes purpose. When you anchor into your true presence, your purpose begins to unfold naturally. You stop striving and start flowing. You stop searching and start seeing. Your mission was never separate from you. It is you. You don't have to find your calling. You are the calling. And when you show up fully as you are, everything that aligns with your assignment begins to orbit around you. People, places, provision, and yes, power. But this power is not to be used for ego. It's sacred. It's meant to serve. Presence without purity becomes manipulation. But presence with purity becomes miracle. So protect your presence. Guard your peace. Stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. Let your silence speak where your voice would be wasted. Let your walk do the talking. Because those who are meant to hear you will hear your energy before they hear your words. You are no longer required to prove who you are. You only need to be who you are. And here is the great paradox. The more you surrender to your true essence, the more powerful your presence becomes. Not because you've added anything, but because you've stripped everything away that wasn't truly you. Like a flame that dances without effort, like a river that carves through stone, like the moon that commands tides in silence. Your presence is divine design. Only the chosen ones carry this level of stillness. Only the chosen ones transform rooms just by walking into them. And only the chosen ones understand that true power never shouts, it radiates. So let it radiate. Let the world feel you. Let the heavens witness you. You are here now, and your presence is prophecy in motion. There comes a time in every chosen one's journey when the fire within is no longer just for survival. It becomes a force of transformation. It no longer burns just to keep you warm. It burns to ignite the world around you. That time, dear soul, is now. Because what you carry is not meant to stay hidden. The divine didn't awaken you just to witness your own becoming. You were chosen to be a spark, a catalyst for awakening in others. And this next chapter in your journey isn't about introspection alone. It's about activation. Your presence was preparation. Your alignment was attunement. But now, your life becomes a living transmission. And here lies the next sign, the rarest and most sacred one, the ability to transmute. To transmute is not to escape pain, but to transform it. To transmute is to alchemize what was meant to break you into the very fuel that builds your legacy. To transmute is to meet darkness not with fear, but with fierce compassion and say, I see you, and I will not run. Only the chosen ones are given this gift. And only the chosen ones are entrusted with the responsibility it carries. Because the ability to transmute energy is holy. It's not taught in schools or temples. It is learned through survival, silence, surrender, and spirit. Think back for a moment. Remember the pain that nearly consumed you, the betrayal that cracked you open, the depression that dragged you to your knees, the moments you didn't think you'd make it out. And yet, you did. You didn't just survive, you became softer, deeper, wiser. That wasn't coincidence. That was transmutation. And the world needs this now more than ever. There is so much rage, so much fear, division, and numbness. But chosen ones were never meant to reflect the world's wounds. They were born to transform them. Not by force, not by preaching, but by embodying a new way of being. When you walk through a room, your energy becomes a tuning fork. When you speak with intention, your voice becomes a balm. When you listen with your soul, people feel seen in ways they never have before. This is spiritual alchemy. This is divine healing. And this is why the enemy fought you so hard, not because of your past, but because of your potential. If you ever doubted your value, understand this: the darker your battles, the brighter your light. You have been shaped by divine fire to hold a frequency that others can rise into. And now, you're being asked to do just that, not by striving, but by being, by radiating, by embodying, by allowing your healed presence to become a permission slip for others to begin their own healing. You see, your transformation is not just personal, it is prophetic. You are becoming a living oracle, and that doesn't mean you need a platform, a pulpit, or a perfect script. Your life is the message. Your scars are the scrolls. Your resilience is the sermon. Let me share with you a truth passed down through many ancient lineages, that the healer is not the one who avoids the wound. The healer is the one who knows the wound intimately and still chooses love. And this is the essence of transmutation. You take what should have cursed you, and you bless with it. You take the venom, and you distill it into medicine. It's what the shamans did with poison plants, turning them into cure. It's what Christ did on the cross, turning crucifixion into redemption. It's what you do every time you choose forgiveness over bitterness, purpose over pain, love over fear. But let's be honest, it's not easy. Transmutation demands presence. It demands trust. And it demands rest. You cannot transmute when you are in survival mode. You cannot alchemize if you are denying your own pain. You must create space. You must allow yourself to feel, to weep, to rage, to grieve, because the wound is the womb, and your tears are the sacred waters of rebirth. The world will not always understand this work. It is invisible. It is subtle. But make no mistake, it is powerful. When you sit with someone in silence and they begin to cry, without knowing why, that is power. When someone leaves your presence feeling lighter, freer, more whole, that is power. When a stranger tells you, "You made me feel safe," without you doing anything, that is power. And it's not yours alone. It's God moving through you. It's the ancestors flowing in your veins. It's the sacred frequencies of heaven humming in your aura. You are no longer just surviving trauma. You are transforming lineage. You are rewriting generational stories. You are choosing to be the interruption to cycles of suffering. You are the one who says, "It ends with me." And even more powerfully, it begins anew with me. So breathe that in. Feel that weight. And now, let it become light, because you were not just chosen to endure. You were chosen to elevate. Only the chosen ones hold this sacred fire. Only the chosen ones can walk into pain and return with prophecy. And only the chosen ones understand that the greatest miracles happen not when we escape the dark, but when we illuminate it. So go, shine, transmute. You are the flame. You are the field. You are the transformation the world forgot it was praying for. And the time is now, as the fire within you sharpens into clarity. Something begins to shift not only in you, but around you. The world, once heavy with confusion and noise, starts to reveal its patterns. You begin to see through veils, hear truth beneath words, sense movement in realms others cannot name. This, dear soul, is the emergence of spiritual sight, not the sight of your eyes, but of your soul. And with it comes another sign, one that sets the chosen ones apart from the rest. Profound discernment. Discernment is more than intuition. It is the divine intelligence that flows through the awakened. It is wisdom not taught but remembered. It is the knowing that arrives before proof. The clarity that cuts through illusion like a blade forged in light. You've felt it, haven't you? The sudden sense that someone's words don't match their spirit. The pull to walk away from what looks good but feels wrong. The knowing that you can't explain but can't ignore. That is discernment. That is the spirit speaking through your bones. And when you honor that knowing, even without evidence, you activate a deeper realm of guidance. You step into alignment with the intelligence of heaven. But here is the sacred truth most won't tell you. Discernment is not always comfortable. Sometimes it isolates you. Because when you see clearly, you can no longer pretend. When you feel truth in your gut, you can no longer swallow lies for the sake of peace. And so you become the one who steps away, who says no, who leaves the crowd to follow the call. This is not rejection. This is revelation. You are being shown what cannot go where you are going. Discernment is the compass of the chosen ones. It is how you navigate not just decisions, but dimensions. It teaches you to move by frequency, not by form, to choose by energy, not by appearance, and it will save you. It will protect you. It already has. Think back to the moments when you didn't know why, but you pulled away. The job you didn't take, the relationship you let go, the offer that seemed perfect but never felt right. At the time, you may have doubted yourself, but now, you know it was God. It was your higher self, your soul counsel, your divine ancestors whispering. Not that way. There's something better. Discernment will cost you comfort, but it will give you destiny. You see, the world is filled with illusions, false lights, half-truths, masks dressed up as miracles. And in a time when deception is the norm, discernment is divine rebellion. It is the refusal to be fooled, the refusal to settle, the refusal to follow the herd into the wilderness of numbness. And the more you honor it, the stronger it becomes. Discernment grows in silence. It sharpens in solitude. It deepens in surrender. The chosen ones are not led by external noise. They are led by inner resonance. You may not always be able to explain why you choose what you choose, but deep down, you know. And that knowing that sacred alignment is the mark of one who walks with the unseen. Let me share a story from ancient wisdom. In the temples of Egypt, initiates were not judged by their knowledge, but by their ability to see beyond the veil. One of their trials was to enter a room filled with golden statues. All looked identical, but only one held a hidden key inside. The initiate had to use intuition, not logic, feeling, not sight. Only the truly attuned could find the key. You, beloved, have been given that same gift. Your discernment is your spiritual key. It opens doors no mind can rationalize. It shuts gates no force can pry open, and it is yours to wield with honor. But here's something few understand. Discernment is also a healer. When you operate in discernment, you do not need to judge. You do not need to condemn. You simply know. And in that knowing, you create space for others to face themselves without your interference. You no longer need to fight for truth. You become truth, and truth defends itself. This is emotional sovereignty. This is energetic mastery. This is what allows you to remain centered in chaos, clear in confusion, and calm in storms. People may call you mysterious, distant, guarded, but that's only because they can't predict you. And they can't predict you because you don't move from pattern, you move from presence. And presence is unpredictable to the asleep. Discernment has also likely made you a seer, not in the theatrical sense, but in the ancient sense. You sense cycles. You know when someone's soul is crying behind their smile. You see potential where others see problems. You see endings before they arrive, and beginnings before they unfold. You may not have asked for this gift, but it was written into your blueprint. And now, as you begin to trust it more deeply, something powerful will begin to shift. Your discernment will become your direction. You'll make decisions not based on consensus, but on conviction. You'll walk away without fear. You'll step forward without needing permission, because you'll no longer be moved by the seen. You'll be guided by the sacred. Only the chosen ones are trusted with this depth of knowing. Only the chosen ones are shaped to hold such sacred clarity. And only the chosen ones understand that to walk in truth, you must often walk alone. But in that solitude, you are never truly alone. Heaven walks with you. Ancestors speak through you. And your soul, your eternal compass, whispers the way. So trust it. even when it makes no sense, even when it asks you to leap, even when it demands you release what you thought you needed. Trust it, because what waits on the other side is not just alignment, it is ascension. And you, dear chosen one, were not sent here to follow maps. You were sent to make them, to chart unseen paths, to walk in sacred sight. And the time to see clearly is now. There is a kind of knowledge not found in books. It doesn't live in the pages of sacred texts or the scrolls of scholars. It lives in silence, in symbols, in the space between dreams and waking. This is the hidden knowledge, the sacred gnosis, that only the chosen ones carry. You've felt it. That strange knowing that arrives unannounced. The dreams that speak in riddles. The visions that flash behind closed eyes. The sudden insights that drop into your spirit like thunder, leaving no trace of logic, only truth. This is not imagination. This is inheritance. You are a carrier of hidden knowledge, and this is your sign. From the ancient mystery schools of Egypt to the silent temples of the East, there have always been initiates, those marked not by hierarchy, but by hunger. Not for power, but for truth. The chosen ones have always been seekers, and in time, they become finders, not of the world's knowledge, but of divine remembrance. Because here's the mystery, you're not learning something new. You're remembering what your soul has always known. And in this remembering, you unlock codes, frequencies, maps that guide you through dimensions the logical mind cannot comprehend. That's why the world often misunderstands you. You speak in symbols. You think in metaphors. You feel timelines. You dream in prophecy. You are not broken. You are bilingual, fluent in both the language of man and the language of spirit. This gift is why you've always been drawn to the esoteric, the ancient, the mystical. While others chased certainty, you wandered into mystery. While others clung to facts, you followed signs. And those signs, they were not random. They were breadcrumbs, laid down by spirit, leading you home. But here's the truth, carrying hidden knowledge is not glamorous. It can be heavy. Because truth, when unshared, can feel like a burden. And for much of your life, you've had to keep quiet. You've sensed things you couldn't explain. You've seen patterns others ignored. You've known outcomes before they unfolded. And often, you were called strange, delusional, too much. But what if you were simply ahead? What if the world is only now catching up to what you've known all along? Because the hidden knowledge you carry is not just for you. It is a light buried in the soil of your soul, waiting for the right season to bloom. And that season, dear one, is now. Let's speak of the Akasha, the great library of spirit. In many traditions, it is believed there exists a record of all souls, all events, all truths. Chosen ones often access these records, not through ritual, but through resonance, through dreams, through sudden knowing, through flashes of memory that don't belong to this lifetime, but live in your blood. You are a walking archive of spiritual memory. That's why you're drawn to the same symbols across cultures. Why you dream of places you've never been. Why you feel at home among ruins, cathedrals, and sacred groves. Your soul remembers. And this remembering makes you a steward not of information, but of wisdom. Information fills. Wisdom transforms. And what you carry has the power to transform if you trust it. You see, the hidden knowledge is not loud. It does not shout. It whispers. It nudges. It speaks in patterns and synchronicities. It reveals itself when you are still, when your ego sleeps and your essence wakes. And in those moments, you touch eternity. That's why solitude has been your ally. Why silence has been your sanctuary. Because in the quiet, the codes activate, the memories return, the vision sharpens, and you begin to realize you were never meant to follow the old paths. You were born to remember the lost ones. You are the return of something ancient, a rebirth of wisdom that was nearly forgotten, a living flame of forgotten truth. And now, it is time to speak. Not to convert, not to convince, but to remind, to awaken the sleeping codes in others, to spark the remembrance that lies dormant in their bones, to walk as living myth real, grounded, and yet deeply rooted in the otherworldly. Let me tell you a story. In the Himalayas, there is a legend of the Shambhala, a hidden kingdom of light and knowledge. It is said that only those with pure hearts and awakened sight can find it. But the secret is this: Shambhala is not a place. It is a state of being, a frequency, a memory encoded in the chosen ones who walk the earth in silence, carrying the songs of the stars in their blood. You are Shambhala made flesh. You are the temple. You are the scroll. So when your knowing comes, honor it. When the visions arrive, write them. When the signs align, follow them. You are not here to understand the world's logic. You are here to reawaken its soul. Only the chosen ones carry this level of remembrance. Only the chosen ones can hold sacred truth without distortion. And only the chosen ones are trusted with the mystery because they do not seek to own it, but to serve it. So bow not in shame, but in reverence, and rise not in ego, but in clarity. The knowledge you carry is holy, and the time to unveil it is now. There comes a moment when the journey turns inward one last time before the next great becoming. A pause, a breath, a reckoning. And for the chosen ones, that moment is not the end. It is the rebirth. You have walked through fire. You have carried light in the darkest of places. You have spoken truth where silence reigned. And now, standing on the edge of what was and what is to come, a new energy stirs one that does not ask, but commands. Embodiment. This is the final sign. Not a symbol on your forehead, not a prophecy written in the stars, but the undeniable, unshakable truth that your life is the sign. No more hiding in theory. No more living in potential. No more preparing for permission. You are being asked to live it now, to embody the fire, to walk as the awakened, to speak not of transformation, but as transformation. Embodiment is the integration of all you've endured, remembered, survived, healed, and become. It is the weaving together of spirit and form, soul and story, power and presence. It is when the inner world becomes the outer walk, when your words match your frequency, when your actions align with your truth. It is when wisdom stops being something you study and becomes something you are. And embodiment is not about perfection. It is about congruence, harmony, alignment. The world does not need another voice talking about light. The world needs light that walks, light that moves through markets and streets and homes and hallways, light that shows up to the mundane with majesty. And that light, dear soul, is you. You've been given signs, dreams, visions, knowledge, power, but now you must become the message. And not everyone will understand. You will be too bright for some, too bold, too awake. But that is not your concern. You did not come to be understood. You came to be felt, to be the resonance that reminds others of what they forgot, to be the mirror that reflects them back to themselves, to be the signal flare in the fog of this world, declaring, it is safe to remember. You are no longer waiting to become. You are becoming as you go. There will be days you still feel small, still feel tired, still feel like the old wounds might win. That is okay. Embodiment is not a destination. It is a dance. Some days you glide, some days you crawl, but the music continues, and your presence continues to ripple. Remember this, a single candle can light 1,000 more without losing its flame. You are that flame. You are that 1,000, and now, it is time to be seen, not for applause, but for assignment. You are not here to entertain. You are here to embody a truth that refuses to be silenced. The world is crying out for examples, not explanations. The children are watching. The seekers are listening. The wounded are looking for someone who has walked through the fire and did not lose their soul. Be that one. Let your presence be prophecy. Let your smile be sermon. Let your stillness be sanctuary. You are not behind. You are not lost. You are not waiting. You are the beginning of a new age. You are the end of a long forgetting. You are the bridge between the sacred and the seen. So live accordingly. If you've been waiting for a sign, look in the mirror. If you've been waiting for a calling, listen to your breath. If you've been wondering if you're ready, let this be the answer. You were not just chosen. You were created for this. Only the chosen ones carry this frequency. Only the chosen ones are trusted with such fire. And only the chosen ones rise not once, but continually, because your rising is not for you alone. It is for those watching, wondering if they can rise too. And when they see you authentic, flawed, luminous, real, they will remember. They will awaken. They will rise because you did. So take one final breath in this chapter. Feel the power of who you've become. And then step forward, not as someone still searching, but as someone who has become the answer. You are the sign. You are the message. You are the flame the world has been waiting for. And the time is now.